In my profession, there is one golden rule: haste destroys value. I am a restorer of antique furniture and horology, clocks. People bring me the wreckage of history: rotted wood, rusted gears, shattered mechanisms. My job is to bring them back to life. It requires infinite patience. I can spend 3 months just mixing the perfect shade of varnish to match a 17th century finish. I am used to waiting. I am used to seeing the cracks where everyone else sees a smooth surface. My name is Victor. I'm 38. My wife Alice always said I lived in the past. "You're always in that dusty workshop, Vic," she would complain, twirling a lock of hair around her finger. "Life is happening out here, and you're missing it." Right next to her, usually drinking my beer, was my twin brother Dennis. Dennis was my polar opposite. I am quiet. He is loud. I work with my hands. He works with his tongue. I build things. He sells things, usually things that don't exist. He was always chasing get-rich-quick schemes, always borrowing money from me, and always forgetting to pay it back. I loved them both. I trusted them. We lived in a large estate I had purchased with the proceeds from restoring a rare collection for a museum. Dennis lived in the guest house because he was going through temporary difficulties, which had lasted 3 years. I thought we were a tight-knit family unit. I didn't notice the looks. I didn't notice the silence that fell when I walked into a room. Until one day, I decided to restore the antique Venetian mirror in our master bedroom. Part 2. Through the Looking Glass. It was a magnificent piece from the late 18th century. The silvering on the back had begun to flake, and I needed to remove the glass from the heavy gilded frame to stabilize the amalgam. I was working in the afternoon. Alice was at yoga, and Dennis was at a job interview. I carefully pried the heavy glass loose. As I lifted it, the thin wooden backing panel, a later edition, probably from the 1990s, slipped and fell to the floor. Taped to the back of the mirror glass, hidden in the hollow space between the glass and the wood, was a small device. It wasn't an antique. It was a digital voice recorder. It was blinking red. Low battery. I peeled it off the glass. I pressed play. I expected to hear Alice's voice practicing a speech or maybe singing. Instead, I heard the unmistakable sound of my brother's laughter. Dennis. He's such a bore, Alice. Yesterday, he spent 40 minutes explaining the viscosity of fish glue. I almost fell asleep with my eyes open. Alice. Be patient, baby. We need him. Without his signature and his collateral, the bank won't give us the loan for the restaurant. Dennis. And if he finds out about us? Alice. Him? Vic? Please. He doesn't see anything past his magnifying glass. He thinks we're just close family. We'll let him fund the restaurant, put everything in your name as the director, and once it's profitable, I'll file for divorce. We split the assets, he gets the old chairs, and we get the hottest club in the city. Dennis. You're wicked. I love it. Then the sounds. The unmistakable gut-wrenching sounds of the bed springs. My bed springs. I stood there in my workshop, surrounded by the smell of sawdust and turpentine, gripping the recorder until my knuckles turned white. My wife? My twin brother? The person I shared a womb with? They weren't just sleeping together. That was bad enough. They were plotting to use me as a husk, drain my finances to build their dream life, and then discard me like a piece of scrap wood. My first instinct was to grab a chisel and march into the guest house. But then I looked at the grandfather clock I was repairing on the workbench. A 1890 mechanism. To make it tick again, You have to align every gear perfectly. If you strike it with a hammer, it breaks. If you wind it carefully, it works for you. I put the recorder in my safe. I didn't confront them. I decided to become the architect of their destruction. Part 3. The Silent Investor. That evening over dinner, I was acting normally. "How was yoga?" I asked Alice. "Amazing," she smiled. "So relaxing." "And the interview?" I asked Dennis. "They offered me the job, but it's beneath me," Dennis scoffed. "Actually, Vic, Alice and I were talking. I have this idea. A high-end restaurant and lounge. The Gilded Cage. I have the connections. Alice has the design eye. We just need capital." I chewed my steak slowly. "That sounds interesting," I said. "I've been looking to diversify my portfolio. Antique markets are volatile." Their eyes lit up. They exchanged a look. The fish had taken the bait. "Really?" Dennis leaned in. "We would need about $500,000 to start, plus the lease on that old warehouse downtown." "I'll do better," I said. "I'll fund the whole thing, $1 million. I want it to be perfect." Alice squealed and hugged me. I felt my skin crawl, but I patted her back. "But," I added, "I'm too busy with my restoration work to manage it. I'll just be the silent partner. Dennis, you be the CEO? Alice, you be the creative director? I'll just handle the legal paperwork and the accounting setup." "Deal," Dennis shouted. "You won't regret this, brother." Part 4. The Fine Print. Over the next 6 months, I watched them. I watched them spending my money like water. They hired expensive chefs, bought imported marble bars, and flew to Milan to source furniture, which was really just a vacation. They treated me like an ATM. "Vic, sign this check." "Vic, we need another $50K for the sound system." I signed everything. I smiled. I played the role of the doting, oblivious husband and the supportive brother. But I handled the contracts. Dennis is lazy. He never reads anything longer than a tweet. I presented him with a stack of documents for the incorporation of the business. "Standard stuff," I said. "Liability waivers, tax forms, ownership structure." Yeah, Dennis said, signing his name furiously. "Where do I sign to get the corporate credit card?" He didn't read page 47, paragraph 12. He didn't read the revocable license clause regarding the brand name. And he certainly didn't read the morality and good faith clause in the operating agreement. Basically, the structure was this. I bought the building through a shell company, LLCA. I owned the intellectual property and the brand through another shell company, LLCB. The restaurant itself, LLCC, which Dennis owned nothing. It leased the building and licensed the brand from my companies. The lease agreement had a 24-hour termination clause for any breach of contract. The loan I gave them wasn't a gift. It was a callable demand note secured by their personal future assets. They built a palace on land that could turn to quicksand at the push of a button. Part 5. The grand opening night. The Gilded Cage was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers, velvet booths, a line of Ferraris and Lamborghinis outside. The local press was there. Influencers were streaming live. Alice looked stunning in a red dress, bought with my money. Dennis was in a tuxedo, acting like the king of the city. They were glowing. They thought they had won. They thought the plan was working. The business was launched, and soon they would serve me the divorce papers. Dennis took the stage at 10:01 p.m. The music stopped. "Welcome, everyone," Dennis boomed into the microphone. "This place is a dream come true, a vision created by me and the lovely Alice." The crowd cheered. And I guess a small thanks to my brother Victor for the loan, Dennis added dismissively. But tonight is about the future, about passion. He raised his glass. To us. I was standing by the DJ booth. It was time. I walked up to the stage. Can I say a few words? I asked, taking the microphone from Dennis. Dennis looked annoyed, but he couldn't refuse in front of the crowd. Make it quick, Vic. Don't bore them with antique talk. I looked at the crowd. I looked at Alice, who was smiling fakely. My brother talks about passion, I began, and he talks about vision. But in my line of work, we talk about provenance, the history of an object, the truth beneath the surface. I pulled a small remote control from my pocket. I prepared a special video for tonight, a behind the scenes of how this restaurant was really made. Part 6. The Reveal. I pointed the remote at the giant projection screen behind the bar. The video started. It wasn't a montage of construction. It was a recording of a waveform, audio visualization. And then, the voice. Crystal clear over the $1 million sound system. Dennis's voice. He's such a bore, Alice. We'll let him fund the restaurant, put everything in my name. And once it's profitable, you file for divorce. Alice's voice. We split the assets. He gets the old chairs, and we get the hottest club in the city. Then, the sounds, the laughter, the betrayal. The room went silent. The silence was heavier than the antique safe I kept the recording in. Alice dropped her champagne glass. It shattered. Dennis turned pale white. He lunged for me. Turn it off! It's fake! It's AI! I sidestepped him easily. 2 large security guards, who I had hired personally for tonight, stepped in front of me, blocking Dennis. It's not AI, Dennis, I said into the microphone. It was recorded on the 14th of July, behind the Venetian mirror in my bedroom. I turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to ruin the party. But, as the sole owner of the building and the sole owner of the Gilded Cage trademark, I pulled a document from my jacket. I'm hereby exercising the immediate termination clause of the lease due to a breach of the good faith provision. I looked at Dennis. This building is closed, effectively immediately. Everyone has 10 minutes to vacate the premises. I looked at Alice. And Alice, regarding the divorce you planned, you won't need to file. I filed this morning. My lawyer is waiting for you at the VIP exit with the papers. And since you signed the pre-nuptial agreement 7 years ago, and since this recording proves conspiracy to commit fraud, you leave with what you came with, which is nothing. Part 7. The Eviction. The chaos was beautiful. It was like watching a perfectly timed demolition. The guests fled, tweeting and streaming the drama as they ran. The reputation of the Gilded Cage was destroyed before it served its first appetizer. Dennis tried to scream that he owned the company. I showed him the contract he signed without reading. You own LLCC, Dennis, I explained calmly. LLCC owns the debt. It owes me $1.2 million. The building, the furniture, the booze, that belongs to LLC A and B, which are mine. You tricked me, he screamed. I didn't trick you, I said. I just let you be yourself, lazy and greedy. I had the police escort them out for trespassing on my property. I locked the doors. I stood alone in the empty, beautiful restaurant. I poured myself a drink from the bar. It was the best scotch I had ever tasted. Part 8. The Restoration. The fallout was total. Dennis declared bankruptcy. The $1.2 million debt hung over him like a stone. He couldn't get a job in town because the video of him mocking me went viral locally. He moved to another state to live in a trailer park. Alice tried to fight the prenup, but the audio recording was admissible evidence of bad faith and conspiracy to defraud a spouse. She got zero alimony. She works as a receptionist at a dental clinic now. I didn't keep the restaurant. I'm a restorer, not a club owner. I sold the assets, the equipment, the marble, the decor, at a premium. I sold the building to a real developer for a massive profit because the renovation had increased its value. I made about $500,000 profit on the whole revenge project. I went back to my workshop. I finished restoring the Venetian mirror. I put the glass back in the frame. It hangs in my hallway now. It's beautiful, flawless. Every time I look into it, I see a man who learned the most important lesson of restoration. Sometimes you have to strip everything down to the bare wood to find out what's real. And sometimes the trash you find behind the mirror needs to be thrown out.